Hello everyone and welcome back to Cute Crochet. My name is Sri and in today's video I am going to show you how I made this beautiful Dreamcatcher with Puffstitch Flowers and macrame tassels. Normally you need a steel ring to make a Dreamcatcher, but in this case you can use a cardboard ring and stick the flowers on it. But of course in that case it won't be washable. Here I have used a steel ring, and the way I have done it, it has created this beautiful mesh design on the back and I have stuck the flowers on it. It was actually a very fun process making this, so let's get started. We are going to start by making these puff stitch flowers. I am going to use 4-ply yarn, and with it I am using a 4mm crochet hook. Start by making a slip knot. Then chain 4. Then slip stitch into the first chain. This will create a ring that we are going to then work into. Working over that tail, we are going to make 6 single crochets into this ring. To make a single crochet, insert your hook into the ring, making sure that you are not going through any of the stitches and going through the middle. Then you will have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through 2. And that completes 1 single crochet. Continue to make 5 more single crochets into the same ring for a total of 6. Once you have made the 6 single crochets, slip stitch on top of that first single crochet to join, and that will bring you to the end of round 1. This slip stitch will create a fake 7 stitch which will come in handy, so keep that in mind. For round 2, chain 2 to start. Then we are going to make a puff stitch. For that, yarn over, insert your hook into the same stitch and pull up a long loop that is the same height as the chain 2. Repeat this 5 more times. Yarn over, insert your hook into the same stitch and pull up a long loop to the same height as the previous loops. We are going to repeat this 4 more times. Once you have 13 loops on your hook like this, yarn over and pull through all the 13 loops. Then we are going to chain 3 and slip stitch into the next single crochet, which is right here. And that completes 1 puff stitch petal. We are going to make 5 more of these all the way around. Chain 2 and then make puff stitch into that same stitch. Chain 3 and then slip stitch into the next single crochet. That's 2 petals complete. Continue to make chain 2, puff stitch, chain 3 and then slip stitch into the next single crochet all the way around. Here I have made the last puff stitch. I am going to chain 3 and then I will slip stitch into that fake stitch created by the slip stitch earlier. Then snip the yarn and fasten off. This is the tail that we are going to use to thread on the bead for the center of the flower. If you are going to use a yarn needle for this step, you might want to keep the tail a little bit longer, but since I am going to use a crochet hook, I have made it fairly short. Using a smaller crochet hook, I am bringing the tail to the back through the same stitch that we made a slip stitch into. Then I am going to bring it back up to the front through the base of the next petal. I'm going to put this bead for the center of the flower. For this, I'm using my teeny tiniest hook, which is 0.6 millimeters. I'm first putting my bead on my crochet hook like this. Then I'm simply going to pull this tail through the bead using the crochet hook. Position that bead nicely in the center, and then we are going to bring that tail to the back of the flower through the base of the petal directly opposite to the previous one. In the back, we are going to make a knot and then weave in the end. Now if you notice, our puff stitch flower isn't as puffy, especially if you compare it to the completed flower here. So to get that look, what we're going to do is puff up the petals by simply pushing on it from the back while pulling the chain on either side down like this. And there we go, a puffy petal. We are going to repeat this for all of them. Lay out your flowers on your ring to gauge how many you need. For my 10-inch ring, I require 21 pink and 15 mint flowers. For the tassels, I wanted a cascading look, so for that we need to measure the string we are going to hang the tassels from very carefully. Lay your yarn out beside the previous tassel to gauge how much you need, and you are going to double it up. Keep it a little bit longer because we are going to make a knot. Since we want the tassels on either side to hang at the same length, we are going to cut them at the same time and also knot them. I've already done it for this one here. For the tassels, we are going to need yarn and something to wrap it around. It can be anything, a box, a piece of cardboard, or even your fingers. We need 20 equal strands, so we are going to wrap the yarn around 20 times. Once you have 20 strands, cut the yarn and then remove all the loops from the box carefully. Cut all the loops on one end to get 20 strands that are roughly equal. Take 5 of the strands and then line them up. Make the strands parallel to the best of your ability and then fold them in half. Take 5 more strands of yarn and then place it perpendicular to the previous loop like so, and then fold it over in half. We are going to repeat this 2 more times. Then for the last strands, feed them through the first loop like so. Then we are going to push these loops closer together until we get a nice neat square knot. Take a little bit of time to make the strands in the knot portion parallel to each other. You can pull on individual strands of yarn to make it neat, or even use a crochet hook. Repeat the same thing for all the 4 sides. Once your knot is fairly neat, we are going to push it even closer together to make it quite tight. Then, using a small crochet hook, we are going to feed the strand that we created earlier through the center of the square. Don't pull on it too hard at this point. Then, take another strand of yarn, preferably in a different color, fold one of its ends into a loop like this and then hold it against the tassel. Wrap the longer tail around the tassel 5 times like this. Leave a couple of centimeters from the top to create a nice bulb shape. Then we are going to feed the longer tail through the loop. And now when we pull on that shorter tail, we are going to make a knot that will be hidden nicely underneath all the loops, and it will make it look nice and seamless. Then we can trim the excess yarn. Finally, trim it up a little bit to make it equal to the other tassels, and we are done. To put on the beads, I am going to use a needle and thread. First, I am going to make a knot into this loop. Then we can use this needle and thread to put on the beads. Do it a couple at a time. When you have finished threading the beads, simply remove the needle and thread, and we are done. I am going to wrap the ring with my mint yarn. First, I am going to make a knot on the ring like so. Then simply twist the yarn around the ring like so. At the end, wrap over the tail of that knot. Now we are going to create the mesh that is going to be the base of the flowers. For that, wrap your yarn on your ring like so. First, bring the yarn from the front to the back and then back to the front. Make the loops around 1 inch apart and continue to repeat this all the way around. There is no hard and fast rule of how many loops you need to make. Just make them evenly spaced out. Don't make them too spaced out because we need enough surface area to sew the flowers. Once you have gone around the ring once, we can't continue to use the yarn ball. So we are going to cut the yarn, leaving a long tail, and then thread it onto a yarn needle. Keep in mind that this tail will be long and using a needle will be challenging. You can also create a small spool if that helps. Since we are not going all the way to the center of the ring, the tail does not need to be that long. We just need enough mesh to put the flowers, so about 1 inch. Now repeat the same step, just using a needle all the way around through each of the loops. Go round and round until you have 1 inch of mesh. That's probably enough. I will leave the remaining tail hanging there for now. Next, we are going to put on the tassels, so loop it around the ring like so and then tie it on. Then put on the rest of the tassels on either side, spacing them out evenly in decreasing order. Take another length of yarn, fold it in half and then tie a knot on one end. Tie this loop opposite to the longest tassel, and this will be the loop we hang the Dreamcatcher from. Next, we are going to sew on the flowers. First, I am going to sew the pink flowers to the ring. Turn the ring around and sew the flowers from the back. I like to take the loops from the innermost circle of the flower, that is the first round. Tie a knot to secure it in place. While sewing, I like to arrange the flowers in a staggered way. If you notice, the petals of the first flower is going this way, so I am going to put the next flower like this and so on. Continue sewing the remaining flowers in the same way. Here I am sewing on the last flower. Then I'll tie a knot to finish it up. For the main flowers, we are going to use the tail that we had left earlier, and we are going to sew this on the mesh. We are sort of going to create another round of the mesh and sew the flowers along the way. Continue repeating this for all the remaining flowers. And now our Dreamcatcher is complete. The mesh is actually showing through a little bit through the flowers, but I think it looks pretty nice. If your flowers are flipping over or gaping, you can tack them at specific places to make them lay flatter. But I don't think it will make much difference once it is hanging on the wall. I originally wanted to put another tassel in the middle of the ring like this, but I honestly think it will look a little bit busy, so I left it out. And this is how the finished product looks. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!